Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to the series finale, season finale, I don't know, something of Obiwan Kenobi. I'm Dub. I'm here with Ryan. We're here with Skeeter. We're here with Christina. Let's start off with a little bit of speculation. Does this get another season? Let's ask Skeeter first.
Well, it does look that way. I mean, we're walking off into the sunset on some camel horse weird thing. I don't know. It very well could. But it could also lead off into a whole nother story.
Fair enough. Christina?
Yeah.
I am 100% okay if they end it right here. I am actually satisfied. But I do have something that we will talk about when we get to a certain character. That's something that I would love to see. So,
okay. And Ryan, what about you? Do you think that, or does it even deserve a second one? I know you are. I know you're going to be the biggest cheerleader. So that's.
I want the second season. I'm good with it as long as it's not Reva. I want the second season. I think it's going to. That door is wide open for it. So I'll elaborate towards the end here.
Fair enough.
About what I want to see because I have a specific thing.
Now, I don't see there being a second season because I think that I'm not on Twitter. Let's be straight right there. I'm not on Twitter, so apparently I'm the one that doesn't see any of the positive reviews. But I haven't seen a positive review anyplace else about this show. I don't think the public wants it. I think it's got real low ratings. I think that, I'm a big canon guy. We've had this conversation a million times. I'm a big canon guy. I think this steps in too many sacred cows that you can't forgive, and it screws up the original Holy Trilogy. I don't care if you screw up the pre's or the posts. I don't care. Those don't exist in my world. But when you start screwing up the Holy Trilogy, yeah. And we'll get into all of that as we go. Okay. Everyone is giving me that look because I'm going to probably be the most negative one here. I apologize in advance.
I don't know, Skeeter, did you bring your salt?
No salt to this.
No, I got plenty for the both of us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not doing a quote unquote scene by scene, but I just kind of wrote out my notes as the show progressed. But I gotta say this first. Wow, Reva heals really fast. This is her second lightsaber to the abdomen. Either Vader's really, really, really bad at this, or they have really, really, really bad writers that can't figure out how else to get her out of the picture. Okay, go ahead, Skeeter.
No, he got it in the same place.
Oh, and it's scar tissue and all, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a through and through in the same spot. Anakin's that good.
We have to have another Flea reference.
That was good. Okay, so to me, this was kind of it was cheesy to me that they didn't think of a better way of knocking her out or putting her out without this. I feel like this makes the characters look a lot weaker than they should look.
I was okay with how they did it. I was not okay with her having this sudden, other than a few touches, she should have been barely holding on.
Yeah. I could have been a little more okay with that but it didn't matter to the story that she was stabbed. And again, I will have some praise for her at the end of this episode. However, the writing is so bad, and the way that this character is moved is it's not okay.
But she's
I want to like her.
worst.
No, that's Haja.
She's the second worst.
She's the second worst. Well, I have another one that might make that top echelon. We'll get to him. We'll get to him in a minute. Okay. And then when you see the Imperial cruiser chasing the little tiny ship, we're gonna put all the shields in back. Why is it I couldn't help but think of Spaceballs?
Because looked
Now
actually.
everybody's thinking that too. You're like,
No,
those balls.
I gave it a second viewing.
They
this
jammed our
afternoon.
radar.
Yeah, only one person dare give me the raspberry. Lone Star.
Now this whole scene. Again, I'm relying on you guys to give me some positive because I don't know what it was about this scene, but it felt like, okay, just get out already, kill yourself, and I don't mean that like end yourself, but I'm like that's what he was supposed to be doing by going out and going away from the ship, but it just felt like, who cares? Was that just me? Okay, that's fair enough.
I was kind of in
nothing wrong
that
with
place where, like, does anybody else realize that that's a Imperial Star Destroyer chasing down a moped? Like,
Yeah.
he said full firepower on that thing. Come on, dude. Like, I don't know.
I agree.
I brought some number 2 pencils and some money cards for the writers. Because they need to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, a little. They need to watch the original series first.
Yeah.
Now here's another issue. I'm trying not to throw out all the negatives, but I'm going to. Haja, who is pretty universally the most hated person in this series. Period.
In this series, I like Jar Jar Binks more.
No, I'm not talking about Star Wars. I'm talking about this one. Yeah, he's
I
absolutely
know.
terrible. Now, here's where I have a problem with, again, the writing. Why on God's green earth would Obiwan tell him, I want you to protect Leia and you need to watch out for her? I'm a fake Jedi. I don't care. Bad writing? Was that bad writing, or is it
was
something
terrible.
else?
It was terrible. If he would have just said, I promise I'll get her home, and left it at that.
Yeah, but
it would have been tolerable. But the fact that he's like, if you can trust a fake, I was like, oh, heck no.
And they didn't do anything with it.
And a fake Jedi.
Yeah, he said he specifically calls himself out as a liar.
Yeah. And this is another Chekhov's gun thing. You mentioned it, but nothing happened with it. So why bring it up?
It's like the writing's done like a children's book style. Like, oh, hey, we need to put in like a 5-word sentence to remind the viewer what this character is.
So they signed this dude on.
Spot the brown dog with like.
Wow, that was good. Go ahead, Skeeter.
So they signed this dude on for like 4 episodes, and they had to pay him. So they said, you're getting 4 episodes. Like, no matter if you are there or not, like, there could have been so many different things that were better. And
there are so many actors who have openly said like they would just do anything to be in Star Wars. Why would you even have to pay him? Chris Evans was volunteering to be a stormtrooper for free.
Daniel Craig was
Exactly. Come on.
Okay, so now here's where I get the kind of the split. I loved this character that I'm about to talk about. I love this character in it. However, it is a complete departure from the original series, so that makes it bad. If this makes sense, and that is Aunt Beru. No, she was no. I mean, she was like hardcore in this. I'm like, okay, so you're awesome now, I guess. But then you watch the A New Hope, and it's like, this is not the same person.
Well, she's older,
but it's 6 years difference. Give me a break. I mean, she was awesome, and I want to see a whole series of her, but not as Aunt Beru.
Hang on, there's the things you do for your children, right, Christina? Yeah. I mean, like, there's something about like that length that a mom's willing to go to.
I like that she was. I like that she was still kind, like. You know, when you look at A New Hope, I had a bigger problem with Owen because he uses that line of he is my own, which is really epic, but he's kind of really crappy to Luke in A New Hope.
That's not who he was.
He was a bitter old man, and he's not really coming across like that here.
Yeah. No, he's a bitter old man, just not with Luke yet.
Right.
And when it comes to your dads, they're not like a bitter old man to you when you're 6 years old. They're a bitter old man to you when you're 26 years old. but they're a bitter old man to everybody else, way younger. I'm 30 years old. I've been a bitter old man to a lot of
Since you were
people for a
6.
long time.
So I think this is definitely an issue we have with the legacy characters. And again, if you want to make your own movie, that's awesome. Do it. I would watch a movie with this character. It's not Star Wars, and don't do that. That bothers me a lot. And that makes it harder for me to enjoy. That would be an A+ performance, but because I feel like that is so not the character, it's like a C.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me.
I think when you're dealing with legacy characters now that have story, and I'll define legacy characters. Anybody going from a Revenge of the Sith on back would be considered a legacy character to me.
Okay.
So if you're dealing with that, there was one guy when George Lucas stepped away that he handed the keys to this to, and it was Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is a rabid Star Wars fan, was a rabid Star Wars fan before he even worked for Lucasfilm.
And that's why Clone Wars works so well.
Right. So Dave Filoni should have some involvement when it involves your legacy characters. Dave Filoni did not have any involvement with Obiwan.
And you can tell.
And it is shocking how much he needed to step in and say, hey, you don't know what you're doing here. He's worked for Lucasfilm since 1997.
Mm-hmm.
He should have some level of say in what goes on. If you're not going to ask George Lucas anymore, then you need to be asking Dave Filoni. Kathleen Kennedy and Deborah Chow need to get out of their own way and start realizing you can do the new stories. We're fine with the new stories. I'm fine with the creative freedoms that they've taken in Mandalorian. I'm fine with what they're going to do with Acolyte and Andor and all of those. But when you're dealing with characters like Obi-Wan, you gotta stick. You gotta ride the line.
Yeah, and they did.
There's a line you need to be near it. And there's times where they just strayed so far away from it.
Yeah, well, with some very simple tweaking, this entire show would be an A+. You have to take out Luke. You have to take out Leia because it doesn't work. Let's be honest, it doesn't work.
I disagree.
So the way
I disagree.
Disagree all you want, but it doesn't. It screws up too much canon.
The way I look at it is I'm fine with the story that was told. I'm not okay with the way it was written. The way it was told to me is not not the way it should have been told to me. I'm okay. That means that minor tweaks and minor adjustments and understanding what's canon, you can still follow this line. This narrative is fine, but it needed to be closer to what the true story is instead of taking the freedoms that they've taken.
Now, Roken, great character. I don't know if he is anywhere else. Is he a Clone Wars character? Because I want to see more of this guy. But see, that's another good example.
I was actually not a fan of his.
I liked him, but he's not a legacy character, which I think made it so it's like, okay, if there's little mistakes, I can enjoy it a lot more because I don't care about it's not messing with my sacred cow. If that makes sense.
I would actually love to see a series like The Rise of the Resistance with him as a key character.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
So
I think the writing did a disservice to him again.
I
he's very standoffish.
It wasn't great.
He's very standoffish,
better.
And then he's super attached to him at the last episode. And he didn't want anything to do with Obi-Wan up until that point.
Yeah. Well, you can take a character that you kind of like, and with all these other characters that you love and they've screwed them up, suddenly these other characters look so much better. And I think that's the lesson to be learned. Go ahead, Skeeter.
Here's my question. Like, we're going all over the place. We're doing all this thing with this guy, and then we're getting to the point where Obi-Wan decides that he's going to take a ride. But did anybody not notice that the storyline from the very beginning of seeking out the Jedi kind of died?
Yeah, it was gone.
It was gone. Like, what?
Because there was no other reason that we're going to jump to the end for a second here. There's no other reason the Emperor would say you shouldn't be chasing him because it's our feelings, blah, 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 which I agree. I think that was a important character study, but that screws with the whole story. 100% of it.
Like, let's break this thing back up, put Leia in a couple of episodes, and then send her back home, and then make this thing about Obi-Wan and freaking Anakin and Vader. Just go for it. Go to work.
I want to see Vader. I want to see Obi-Wan. I did not want to see them together, which we're going to get to in a few minutes. But I didn't want to see them together. I want to see Obi-Wan going on adventures very similar to how they did in The Mandalorian. That I think we could all buy.
Maybe.
The Adventures of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But again, you know, and I want to let you defend yourself on this one, Christina. I don't want to see Leia or Luke because it makes the original story not make any sense at all. Go ahead, Christina.
So for me, there are some key lines in there between Obi-Wan and Leia that fix it for me, because when he ends and he says, if you ever need help from a tired old man, but we must be careful, no one must know. And then if you go back and you actually watch A New Hope, which I did, when Luke tells her he's here with Ben Kenobi, she immediately is like, Ben Kenobi's here? And like, it's now I see that recognition that she knows who he is. And that's why I think her message in A New Hope and the way they wrote this part is so deliberate. It's why it shows her wisdom and her sass and her rebellion right from the beginning. And it shows, even though it was poorly done, it shows her up against with Reva, not backing down and not giving away that information. She just continues to be calculated and intelligent. And so for me, this 100% fixed it, especially when she's in Tala's holster. Like, I cried. It just really, really worked for me.
I wish it did for me, but it just, I want to see those key moments where, you know, she really became, or at least the seed was planted for who she becomes. But I just don't want to see her with Obi-Wan. I want to see her help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. So she,
Can we make a
for me,
Princess
the only
Leia
one.
one?
No,
Let's call them and say, hey, fight.
Yeah,
let's call it twins. And they really meet, but they forget. They pretend not to know each other later. And
yeah, so for me, the only thing I didn't want to see was Obi-Wan introducing himself to Luke. I would have been completely fine if it was just like,
do you want to
hey, that
him?
crazy old man, like he didn't really. My dad always said he was a crazy old man.
He's the weird guy that you see in the city.
I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine with if they didn't do it. I mean, I like the dialogue and the scene, but I'm fine if they didn't do that.
And can I say this?
The Leia and Obi-Wan stuff, there's so many like touching dialogue moments. That is the strong point of any of the writing in the show.
Yeah.
It's the only thing they did well.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Did they tell Luke, don't watch the original trilogy because I don't want you acting anything like Mark Hamill whatsoever?
Yeah,
I don't want you to look like
terrible.
Yeah. I gave a lot of grace to Leia on some very bad times, on some very shady issues. I can't give him anything. It was
see that's the thing is if we didn't see Luke talk at all in this, it would have been fine.
It would have been better
because the character acting like a 10-year-old boy is great from afar. Him with the helmet on, like right at the beginning, and he's like, you know, he's imitating he's driving a pod racer. Like, great, that shows like Luke's going to be the X-wing pilot.
Yeah,
but the talk, the dialogue later is just it doesn't fit.
Yep.
He didn't carry himself he should have carried himself.
I think it seems more obvious because the girl who played Leia was so strong.
Yes.
She was so strong.
Times.
Like, I would be shocked if that little girl does not end up with her own Leia Organa show at some point in the next 5 years, because she could pull that off. She's fantastic. She to me is the best acting in the entire show.
She was. Then that's saying something, or that's not saying much. No, she was great when she was with the right people. When she was with Obi-Wan and she was with the dad, yes, I think she was on point. But we had that discussion before. She has a lot of trouble acting by herself.
Mhm.
She had a lot of trouble acting
that's
with
what
Reva.
I'm saying. Like 5 years from now, she's like a
She needs some
16-year-old
help,
kid, and
But 16,
that might
when
make
that's
No,
when
it's 19.
19.
she's
Okay.
19. I
Yeah.
thought they have another 11 years after, or 10
11
years
years.
after,
They
after
have
this.
9 years after this.
9. Okay, so
Mhm.
yeah, so she, but showing her at like 16 as she's like deciding she's gonna start running off and doing this stuff with the rebels, would be that'd be a solid show.
Okay.
I think she's so good. Like
Yeah.
she provides some really good highlight moments. Her character is so believable.
Yeah.
It felt like Leia.
All in the hair, baby. All in
It
the
was
hair.
good. Okay, next thing I want to hit. Now, and I want to preface this. I hate that Obi-Wan and Vader fought because again, it makes New Hope not make sense at all. But with that being said, this fight was one of the better fights we've seen in the current Star Wars universe. I love the fight. However, the editing splits when they split it 3 times, just like they did earlier. It's inexcusable. It was garbage.
Yes.
I screamed out loud, like upset, like because it cuts away right to Reva.
And it wasn't even Star Wars. That's not
what
a
are
Star
you
Wars
doing?
cut.
No, I hated that part of it. For me, I was a real big fan of the dialogue here. I thought it was really well done. I thought the fight was great. I thought the fight was great, but I thought the talking back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of like nice little nods to Revenge of the Sith there. There's a couple of like when he cuts his helmet and it's cutting in between Anakin's voice and Vader's voice. I thought that was phenomenal. I loved that. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, that was going back with what I heard earlier with so that's Anakin's cadence with James Earl Jones' voice, and that it worked.
I thought it worked really well.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice little. It happens in Rebels, I think, where his mask gets cut off like that, and I thought that was like a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the amount of times they show Vader's face is very, very minimal, but I thought it was a powerful moment.
Skeeter, you got anything you want to hit on this fight?
I'm gonna be honest. I really enjoyed the fight. Like I loved the force pushing, the use of force in this whole piece.
Throwing the
seeing
rocks.
Obi-Wan kind of, get that strength back, to me was awesome. Like, I don't know. I mean, I just kept looking at, all right, where's the blue ghost? Where's the blue ghost? Where's the blue ghost? But we didn't get it. And he got it on his own. He did everything on his own. When he blew out of the hole, when he did all of his, I mean, when he came back, like, it was almost a callback to the fight scene that it was actually Anakin and Obi, because you could see the desire for Darth to want to win, for Vader to win so bad that he just made crucial mistakes that Obi capitalized on. And it was great. I mean, I think that fight was really cool. The lightsabers, all of the CG was on point for that portion.
Yeah.
But like you said, it cuts away and we're all like, wait, why?
It took all the emotion out of it.
It's true. So other than to potentially drive the story, which they could have used any other vehicle, I don't understand the point of Reva. I don't. And there was no redemption arc. She just gave up. Now understand, I love Moses Ingram. She's in Queen's Gambit. She is in The Tragedy of Macbeth, and she is good. So this is bad writing and a bad character. But and when you have a fight as epic as this and you keep cutting it away to BS, it made zero sense. And I kept, I'm in. Nope, I'm not. I'm in. Nope, I'm not.
Yeah, it didn't. Her arc didn't make any sense at all. So she is mad because Vader tried to kill her and killed her friends. and didn't because he's apparently inept. And now she's gonna go kill people or kill small children and she's killed a lot of people beforehand. We saw that because revenge on him. So we're gonna do his killing, I guess.
Yep.
Huh?
Yeah, she was never a good character.
No.
Whether she was in it for revenge or not, there was never good.
Yeah.
And at the very end, she literally just gives up.
Yeah.
She does exactly what he told the first Jedi. She throws her weapon down, and I'm assuming, because we don't hear from her in any of the others, that she lived a normal life.
Yeah, I don't want to see her anymore.
Yeah, I'm good with
done.
I'm not gonna lie, me and Griffin literally thought she took out her lightsaber and she was just gonna freaking end it.
Harikari.
That's what we thought. Yeah. But it didn't.
It would have made more sense if she actually succumbed to her wound from Vader.
No.
That would have been so much more dramatic.
Yeah.
And it would have been so much more powerful.
Yeah. And it would have left us with an entire episode of not having to watch anything about her story.
And that would have
been a win.
That would have brought me from a low grade to a semi-decent grade. Not a great grade, but
I would have been way happier with this show if she just wasn't in it. She does nothing to move that plot line.
Bad character. Again,
nothing.
I mean, no, she's one of the characters I can say, even if we see the other stuff, I still don't want to see her. I don't want, if they took all the other stuff out and it's their own Star Wars universe with all new characters, I still don't want to see her.
I was baffled that they were considering giving her own show, or that there was like calls for.
There was a lot of talk on that, yes.
And then, like, the further the show got on, I was like more and more shocked about it. And now, like, having seen the last episode, I'm like, I couldn't fathom what they would possibly do that would make anybody watch that.
Yeah, and I will say, for the only time in this entire series, the crying scene was semi-decent acting. That's the first time this entire series I can say that, but she pulled off that scene, but it was way too late.
Just do the tears running down her face as she gets stabbed and she drops dead, and then you don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, well,
and it's emotional
because every other time's been such overacting.
She had the emotional character arc of a kid losing the ice cream off the top of his ice cream cone. And then just walking away from it.
It's true. And I do feel bad for Moses Ingram, because she's good as far as.
I said this.
Yeah.
I said this last episode. She got open to all the criticism because the writing was so bad. Yeah. It's nothing to do with her acting. They wrote a terrible character.
Well, it's sort of like the last. This is similar to the last Doctor Who. A lot of people didn't like it, not because of the Doctor, but because the writing was horrible. Sort of like this. And you know what? You guys that wrote this, you shouldn't be working anymore. Flat up, you should not be anywhere near sci-fi. You should not be anywhere near Star Wars. You should not be anywhere near any of my fandoms ever again, because you're terrible.
Yeah, go home, writers. You're drunk.
And I wish, I wish.
Where's a writer strike when you need one?
No kidding. Okay, here's another one. There is 0% chance Obiwan wouldn't have killed Vader. Especially considering, wait. He gave him permission by saying Anakin doesn't exist anymore. There is no moral issue that he should have with killing him, because he knows he's going to go after him forever.
Okay, when in episode, is it 3 where they do the fighting? It shows them fighting again. He reminds him that the Jedi's goal is not to take a life, but to defend it. Obi-Wan 1000% knows that Anakin has to die. He just doesn't have the heart to be the one to do it. When you look at his emotion, when you look at his emotion in that moment, I mean, Ewan McGregor wrapped that up tight, because there is so much raw emotion in that. Even after Anakin says, "You didn't kill Anakin, I did," there is so much heartbreak and emotion that he has clearly defeated Vader, so he walks away, because that's what a Jedi would do. And so I'm okay with that because of the way they wrapped that moment and that emotion. And I thought it was brilliantly done. And I thought it was done in such a way that we know that they didn't destroy A New Hope for me, because he knows that he's got to train and he's got to change things, and he knows that something's coming. Because even in our holy trilogy, he tells Luke there's still good in him. So he still believes it.
Yeah, I think you're still at this point. The relationship for the two of them is more like a father-son relationship. You're always asking a man to kill his son, but you're not just asking the average guy. Obi-Wan shows throughout the entire legacy of Star Wars that he is the epitome of the word good. He is the purest form of good, which is why his fights with Anakin, which is like the purest form of good versus the purest form of evil, are so, they're so important.
But he would have been killing. He would have been killing.
You're still
he
asking.
He wouldn't be killing Anakin. He'd be killing the guy who killed Anakin. Obi-Wan said it himself in New Hope. He was killed, or your father killed, or he killed your father, and he did. That's what he just did. That's what he said.
But he still told Luke there's still good in him. He still walked away at the end of episode 3 of the movies, of the prequels, and left him there when he could have killed him there too. And I saw the same raw anguish in the finale that I did when he screams to him, "You were my brother." It's that same raw emotion that you love something so much, and how are you going to kill it?
So at the beginning of this, he says this at the beginning of the fight in Revenge of the Sith, "I will do what I must." And in Revenge of the Sith, it's "you will try," but here it's "then you will die." So the Sith is still willing to deal with the absolute of you will live or you will die. And Obi-Wan still goes into this fight with "I will do what I must," which means he will defend himself. But the second he cuts that mask, Anakin's right there, and he still hears Anakin's voice. It's still, he loved him like a brother, like a son.
No, I hear what you're saying, but I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I
bought it. I was on with it.
This just 1/4 Anakin.
I cried.
I teared up. Yeah,
Skeeter,
not full blown crying.
More like 2/3, I think. That's terrible. Okay,
2/3.
Wow.
Let's jump on this one more thing, and then we got to kind of close up for some reasons. The Qui-Gon Jinn appearance would have been so good if it would have showed up on that episode 3, and that could have been the rest of the series, and I would have been so good with it. But that was so shoehorned in, and I loved him in it, but it felt shoehorned.
I think it would have been better if in episode 3 it was just his voice.
Yeah,
and it would have shown more like Obi-Wan getting his strength back.
Mm-hmm.
In 3, he can only hear the voice of Qui-Gon, but by the end of this, he's going to be able to see his visual representation.
I agree 100%.
I think that would have been better. I was really big on wanting to see that. I'm really glad that Liam Neeson agreed to come back to do that.
Yes.
Liam Neeson, I read an article.
Did his accent get thicker?
I think you're asking guys to regain accents or
it got a lot thicker
that they used like 25 years ago. So I think it would have been strange to not see Liam Neeson there. I really am glad that they chose to bring him back for this.
And that's still the series that I want to see. I want to see why he was
I want, like I said, I was going to come back to this. I want to see like, even if the one-off, I don't care if this doesn't get a second season. I'm fine with the door being left open. I want like a one-off, like holiday special where it's just like Qui-Gon showing Obi-Wan and Yoda how to become Force spirits. He's the first one to really learn that. Yeah, Life Day, Earth Day, whatever you want.
I feel you missed the horrible Star Wars Christmas special.
The Lego.
I have it.
No. The other one.
The original one.
I have it.
Oh,
I have a bootleg copy of that.
I'm sorry.
Because I was too young to see that.
Skeeter, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just gonna give it this. So I feel like that this was one of those things that we've been building up for a long time. The entire show, from one to the end, we were building this up. Disney was building this up as it's going to be, it's going to happen. The epic fight, the battle to end all battles is going to happen. What I think happened was there were some writers that got together and they were like, oh, well, we got time. We got time. We got
They
time.
don't.
And then Sunday at noon, they were like, dude, we got to turn this paper in at freaking midnight tonight.
Very.
Let's just throw something together. And that's what happened. I mean, there were some redeeming qualities, but there was a lot of not. I think the Qui-Gon piece, really, we got built up for 6 words. Like, I kind of hope for more. I mean, they probably paid a lot of money for that sentence, but I still love the fact that we got some fan service in the way we got, the Obiwan Clone Wars nice rig. We got his New Hope outfits. We got everything that was put together, and then we got some kind of hello there. That was pretty cool, but other than the fan service that was scattered throughout this thing and O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s part, and it just missed. It missed in a lot of ways. As a purist, and I think that's what I consider myself, just the same way as I feel about Disney. I'm a purist. Don't stray too far from the story because you're going to lose me.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
And that's a lot of Star Wars fans. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's hit our grades out because we have to wrap up. I apologize. Okay, so I want to hear our grades for this episode and for the series altogether. And I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start it this time. For this episode, I give it a solid C. For the whole series, because of how good 1 and 2 were, I give it a C. Otherwise, it would have been a lot lower because those first 2 episodes were really, really good. So, yeah, let's start with Ryan.
All right. So I'm going to give this episode a B. And then I'm going to give the show as a whole a B. This show could have easily been an A. The writing was poor at best. I think that Kathleen Kennedy and Deborah Chow should really have not taken control over a legacy character show like this. This should have been Dave Filoni's baby. I think it's absolutely abhorrent that he did not have involvement in this.
Yeah,
they could have made this show an A+. This easily could have been there. The fan service was great in this episode. I was really happy with most of it. At the end, I'm disappointed, but I'm right now I'm doing a chronological watching of Star Wars. I'm in the middle of Clone Wars, so I'm coming up on having to rewatch this show in a couple weeks here. And I'm going to have no issue with jumping back in and giving it a rewatch. I won't fret about having to do that.
Fair enough. Christina.
So I am going to mentally take out the Reva in this episode, and I'm going to give it a B+. When I take out,
I feel
Reva,
like I smell like something.
Oh,
really
stop
bad
it!
there.
Stop it! But one of the reasons I'm giving a B+ is something that we didn't talk about. Is right there at the end, we finally got Vader's theme, and it was done so perfectly. I was like, "There's my Vader." I loved that. Overall, I'm gonna give the series a C+.
Okay.
Because there were things that I just couldn't forgive. But there were emotions and things like that in here that absolutely was a B+ for me.
Fair enough. Skeeter.
So first, I'm going to start by saying that I'm sad that I share the same hometown as Kathleen Kennedy. 2, I'm just, okay, we'll just stop. And I'm just going to go, this episode, dude, I still my favorite thing is shiny things, and I think that's what they did well with the whole helmet and the lightsaber fight in Darth Vader's helmet was really cool. So for that, the episode gets a C+, the season C.
Fair enough. Honestly, these grades could have been a lot worse with there wasn't a few redeeming things that made this really good. So with that being said, check out the website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use code we paid extra for it. Go to the Facebook, go to Twitter, go to the Instagram, blah, 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 blah. And remember, what is going on inside of your helmet? Keep on geeking on, guys. We'll see you next time.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.